You see, the fundamental problem with how we perceive ourselves in the world is rooted in the illusion that we are separate from each other, separate from nature, separate from the divine. This is the great game, what I like to call the game of hide and seek. Imagine God, pure consciousness, infinite awareness, deciding to play a game where it hides itself from itself. It's like an eternal game of peekaboo. For what fun would it be to always know everything, to be everything, without ever having the thrill of discovering it again? So God, in its infinite creativity, decides to become you and me and everyone else. But in doing so, it must forget. It must veil itself in the illusion of individuality. This illusion, this mask, is what we call the ego. Now, the ego is a very curious thing. It believes itself to be the thinker of thoughts, the chooser of choices, the doer of deeds. It says, I am John, or I am Sarah, and it builds an entire narrative around that. But who is this I? Can you find it? If you look deeply, what do you discover? You see, what we call the self is, in fact, a process, not a static thing, not a nugget of identity buried in your chest somewhere. The self is a dance. It's a pattern, like a whirlpool in a river. It appears stable, but it is always changing, always moving. The ego is a social construct. It is a collage of experiences, memories, expectations, and borrowed values. You were given a name. You were told you were a boy or a girl. You were praised for this, scolded for that, and slowly you began to form a picture of yourself. But that picture isn't you. It's a mask, a persona. This mask, this ego, is terribly afraid of dying. It clings to its story, its separateness, because to let go would be to dissolve. But what it doesn't realize is that what it fears is its salvation. The ego loves control. It wants to believe it is steering the ship. But have you ever tried to control your thoughts? Try it now. Tell yourself not to think for the next 30 seconds. Go on. You see, thoughts arise like bubbles in a pot. You don't choose them. They simply appear. And yet the ego claims ownership over them. It says, I thought that, but who is this I, the one who claims authorship? Can you locate it? Is it in your head, behind your eyes, or is it merely a habitual identification with thought? What if I told you that the sense of self is just a pattern of tension in your psyche, that the I is no more real than the word wave is real, independent of the ocean? How do we break the spell of the ego? Not by fighting it, not by trying to suppress it, but by seeing through it, by recognizing it for what it is, a story, a habit, a role in a cosmic play. The first step is to notice, simply observe the mind. Watch your thoughts as if you were watching clouds pass across the sky. You will begin to see that you are not your thoughts. You are the space in which they appear. Next, inquire. Ask, who am I? Not intellectually, but experientially. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and feel into the question. Who is looking out from behind those eyes? Who is hearing these words? In time, the ego begins to soften. The identification loosens, and what remains is presence, awareness, peace. Every religion, every mystical tradition, at its core, points to the same truth, that we are not separate, that all things are interconnected, that the apparent many is actually the one playing dress-up. The Sufis speak of the beloved. The Taoists speak of the Tao. The Buddhists speak of emptiness. The Christians speak of Christ consciousness. Different fingers, all pointing to the same moon. The illusion is that we are apart. The truth is that we are apart, a cell in the body of the cosmos. And when the ego dissolves, what is revealed is the breathtaking unity of it all. You begin to see yourself in others, in trees, in rivers, in stars. You begin to realize that the universe is not outside you, it is you. One of the ego's greatest fears is death. But death, too, is an illusion, not in the sense that the body doesn't die, it does, but in the sense that what you truly are was never born and can never die. When the ego dies, something miraculous happens. a kind of spiritual rebirth. You begin to live not as a separate self, but as the whole, not as a drop, but as the ocean in a drop. This doesn't mean you lose your personality. You still have your quirks, your preferences, but you no longer cling to them. You wear them lightly, like a costume at a masquerade ball, and in that freedom you discover joy, not the joy of acquiring, achieving, or controlling, but the joy of being, of flowing, of dancing with life. When you realize there is no solid self at the center of your experience, a tremendous relaxation occurs. You no longer need to defend anything, no longer need to uphold an image. You can simply be. This is not passivity. On the contrary, it is aliveness, spontaneity, like a jazz musician improvising a solo, like a bird singing for no reason. You begin to act, not from fear or desire, but from presence, from love, not because you should, but because it is the natural expression of who you are. And in this way, life becomes art. Every gesture, a brushstroke on the canvas of now. Every word, a note in the symphony of being. To awaken is to return to the source, to remember what was never forgotten but only veiled, to recognize that the one you've been seeking is the one who's been looking all along. You are not in the universe. The universe is in you. You are not a part of God. You are God, playing the part of a person for a little while. And when the play is over, the mask is dropped and you return to the formless, to the silence, to the infinite embrace of being. But until then, enjoy the dream. Love deeply, laugh loudly, dance wildly, and remember, you are it. So here we are, still here, still playing, and that's perfectly all right. The ego may arise again. It may cling. It may protest. Let it. Don't fight it. Just see it. Smile at it, like an old friend who's forgotten your true name. Because now you know, now you've tasted the truth, that beneath the stories, beneath the fears, beneath the masks, you are free. And in that freedom, there is compassion. For you see that everyone is you. Everyone is God in disguise. And so you begin to live differently, not as a separate self trying to survive, but as the whole, celebrating itself in infinite form. This is the invitation. This is the path. Not to become something more, but to remember who you already are. And so the dance goes on. God dancing as you, as me, as this moment. Let it move you. Let it sing through you. Let it be, for you are that.